What's up, YouTube? On this episode of Coddiwomple Overland, we're going to be in North Georgia exploring the trails of Earls Ford and Sarah's Creek.
We don't need a destination, let's go where the river's taking us.
This is one of those trips where we weren't doing what we typically do. The first thing that we don't typically do is stay in an established campground, and we were doing that for this weekend because it was our Patreon ride coming up. The next thing that we don't normally do is just go do out and back trails just to be doing a trail. We typically go over long distances and overland. But since we were in the area, we had an extra day or so to spend, we decided to hit up a couple of the trails that we had never hit before in this area. They're pretty popular, a lot of people had asked us about them, so we decided to go check them out. The first one we're going to check out is Earls Ford. Earls Ford Road runs along War Woman Creek in the Chattahoochee-Oconee National Forest just east of Clayton, Georgia. This whole area of northeast Georgia is covered in national forest roads and trails. With those public land trails also comes public dispersed camping like this site, as well as many others along this road. When you first turn onto Earls Ford, it's blacktop, but it quickly turns into gravel as soon as you hit the National Forest property. Sarah's Creek Road is 3.6 miles end to end, and it turns into a hiking trail at the Chattahoochee River. We hit this in mid-May, and it was a perfect time because all of the mountain laurels were trying to bloom out. Sometimes you can tell a road's been in a place for a long time. You can tell by the cutouts on both sides here. This road's been here for a while. Up to this point, it had been gravel road, just a nice scenic drive. But what was coming next was the famous Earls Creek waterford. Since we had never been here before, we expected the creek to be up a little bit more than it was because of all the rain that we had had. But luckily it wasn't. We decided to take the lower crossing just to make sure that we didn't get in a little deeper than we should. After the river crossing, the road was no longer gravel and turned out to be a whole lot of fun. We made it to the end and to the edge of the Chattahoochee River. This was a beautiful place, and it was definitely worth the trip. Once we got turned around, we all hopped out and took a little bit of time and just enjoyed the water's edge. This is the walking trail that heads off from the end of Earls Ford. After looking around there for quite a while, we hopped back in the trucks and decided to head back. One of the cool things about an out and back trail is you get to hit the same obstacles again. They're just the opposite direction, of course. Since we didn't have any problems with the lower crossing, we decided to go back across the upper crossing. And while it was a little bit deeper, it still wasn't any problem.
Stops at the river.
This is a very scenic trail, and I could totally see it being pretty busy in the summertime with people going out to the end, playing in the river, camping along the many campsites that are along this road, and playing in the creek here. Even while we were here, it was a little bit cool, and there was still a lot of people trout fishing along the stream. Once we left Earls Ford, we made our way basically just right across the road and jumped onto Sarah's Creek. Before you hit the trail itself, you want to come to Sarah's Creek Campground. So this is not a big formal campground, but what it is established sites that is a campground, but there's plenty of room between them, so you do still feel like you're kind of dispersed. There are a couple of areas like this one for big groups also. Just like Earls Ford, Sarah's Creek starts off as a gravel road, but it doesn't last for very long. Once you get past the campground, it turns into more dirt. And as it turns into more dirt, you start finding some creek crossings like this one, and that's when the fun really begins. As you get to the end of Sayers Creek, things get a whole lot thicker, and then at the end, there's just a turnaround. So it's not really about the destination anyway, it's always about the journey, right? So we turned around and made our way back down the hill. And remember what I said about getting to hit those obstacles again, just in a different direction? We sure hope you've enjoyed riding along with us on these trails. They're definitely something, if you're in the area and you want to hop off and do a little something extra, something you could definitely do. From here, we're off to get set up for our Patreon ride, where several of our Patreons are going to come in and camp out and ride with us for the weekend. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one. And until next time, see ya.